We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.
Welcome back to the Spread Zone, presented by FanDuel. My name is Riz. With me, as always, Anthony Stalter and Tim McKernan. Fellas, college football week 1. We are here, finally. It is a massive slate. You have some pretty heavy showdowns, some pretty heavyweight showdowns for week 1. And, of course, we'll get to our FanDuel locks of the week at the end of the show. So here's going to be today's format. So the game plan. Segment 1, our buddy Tim here is going to recap our week 0 card.
It was profit season. That's my tease for you, Riz.
All right. Then segment 2, we're each going to bring 2 or 3 games. And then our final segment will be our FanDuel locks. So, Tim, the mic is yours. Let's go through week 0, the record, the key swings, and how'd we do?
Well, the podcast overall, Riz, went 13-4.
13. That's great.
13-4,
13
Anthony.
4, that's wonderful.
13-4.
Now, we had a couple of that were like, leans. You know, there's a couple where we broke down the Iowa State games.
We did.
But you included it all.
I did include it all.
That's impressive.
And
we're here to make people money.
Well,
it doesn't matter.
Profit season. It's all profit season. So we wound up going 13-4. Anthony, you went 6-3 for 67% against the number.
Nice.
You could buy a palatial estate.
I didn't realize I had 9 plays in week 1.
But Tim went through it all.
Yeah.
I did. I rewatched it, and I realized I may have taken Idaho State. I may have taken UNLV. I took both of them at one point. But Anthony, you were all over the under, both for the game and the first half, but the play that you circled and you said you were highlighting was the under on the first quarter of Farmageddon over in Dublin.
Yes.
You and I both had
I think, yeah,
And we all got on board. Once Anthony said he's circling it, I said, then I'm already placing the wager. So we all got paid there. That number was 10.5. The score was 7-0 at the end of the first quarter. It was 7-7 at the half. Anthony was on the under the first half, which was 24.5, and the under of the game.
That's what we said.
Woo, cats and dogs, Riz. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
But it was about like the quarter yard line from going over. I don't know if you had allocated financial.
That benefited everyone. That kid's knee was down.
Yes.
Iowa State was able to run the clock. It benefited the Cyclones. It benefited the Spread Zone followers that took the under.
Yes.
It was nice out in Dublin.
6-3 for Anthony, and his Iowa State, Kansas State under all over the place was certainly profitable, along with Rocco Beck, their quarterback, going under 240.5 yards. Riz, you went 2-0. You were on that first quarter
I make
under.
them count.
And you were high on Idaho State in their trip to Las Vegas to take on Dan Mullen and UNLV, and they nearly pulled off the win. They were getting 26.5. You were profitable going 2-0, and I went 5-1. I was on Iowa State in that game and the first quarter under, courtesy of Anthony. I really did like Rock Chalk Jayhawk against Fresno State, and I lost on Stanford, who lost at Hawaii, and so maybe actually I won that one. Now that I think about it, Stanford, Hawaii, was that a field goal to win it?
Hawaii.
And I was getting 2.5, so maybe I did go 6-0. This number might have just improved
Wait,
live on the podcast.
Hawaii won, I believe, by 3.
Oh, Riz, say it ain't so. I lost by a half point.
Okay, well, you know, weather, travel, and all execution all matter.
They do.
It does. Weather, travel, execution all matter.
Amen.
So we did well.
13-4 as a podcast.
We did well.
And the one that was really circled was Anthony all over those low totals on Iowa State and Kansas State, and the players got paid.
Well, Riz, you were the one that brought up, I had mentioned the slow start for the under in the first half. You took it a step further and said, hey, there's also another play. I didn't know we were getting that far in the weeds. I had, as Tim mentioned, I'd circled that one. So once you brought that up, I'm like, hey.
Anyway, any angle.
Let's open it up.
Any
However,
angle
we can
to
make people
win.
money. That's right. And we pulled it off. So 13-4 as a podcast. Anthony 6-3, Riz 2-0, me 5-1. That is where we sit through week 0 of the college football season.
So let's get into week number 1. Now, looking at the slate of games, there are a lot of games. And for me, we had talked to each other like, hey, let's everybody pick 3 games and, we'll chat about 3 games each. It's tough to go through to find different angles. Now, where do you start?
Riz, I think that's one of the most important questions, not only for college football, but next week when we get into the NFL. NFL has fewer games than college football, obviously, but I think it's very smart to pare down how you want to attack things early on. It's a long season. The more you get familiar with teams, the more you get familiar with the news and the injuries, you can start to maybe, open up your playbook, so to speak, right? Open up the rest. But when it comes to early action, especially in college football, there's so much turnover. You got the transfers. Even if you're on top of a lot of the news, you just don't know how things are going to play out. So my recommendation is if you absolutely know one conference, stick with the conference. Yeah. If you know one team, stick with that team. I like to take team totals early on. I like to find a couple of lines that I know these teams are going to open things up, take the over on some of the team totals, which is something I'll get into later. But Riz, I think that's an important question that you just asked is how do you pare things down? If you're an over better, great. Find a couple that you love and roll with it. If you know you're just going to play the games that you're going to watch, fine. Just handicap those games. But don't be that person that's got a 20-team card going on in week 1. You just don't know.
You're going to lose money.
Yeah. For me, I'm looking at some of these marquee matchups where there's a lot written about them. So I could do my research that way. There's a lot of source material for me to make an informed decision.
Sure.
Especially for week 1 when we don't have a lot to go on with some of these smaller schools. And Tim, how do you figure it out?
Well, this is a unique week, not only because it is essentially week 1 for almost everyone, but you have 3 matchups with teams in the top 10.
Yeah.
Of course, the headliner, Ohio State, Texas. You also have Clemson hosting LSU, and then Notre Dame traveling to Miami. All find themselves at the top of the poll. So, yes, you will find a lot of material written about in those games, and that is an opportunity for an edge.
I think these are all excellent notes, fellas. So we'll take our first break. We'll come back with our week 1 picks. It's the Spread Zone presented by FanDuel. All right, welcome back to the Spread Zone. Segment 2 rules. We each bring 3 games, and let's see where we're all sitting. So, all right, Anthony, your first matchup.
So I'm gonna start off. I mean, you might as well start off with the big dog there. You got Texas, you got Ohio State. It's not fun to take the unders, boys, but I think this one lines up perfectly for Ohio State to fall under 23.5 points.
So this is the first ever season opener with an AP number 1 going into a defending champion's house.
And they're a dog, too, is Texas.
The winner gets a monster resume chip, but I mean the loser isn't dead. I mean it's only late August.
We saw Ohio State lose to Michigan, final regular season game of the year, and they won a national championship. I love the format. You can get better despite losing.
Right.
But this game I think matches up. I mean, Texas's defensive line is nasty.
Boy, is it ever.
Their secondary is the question mark, but with Sayan coming in for Will Howard and the passing attack for Ohio State being a bit of a question, I think those things are negated. I think that Ryan Day will run the ball consistently, and I think Texas will keep the scoring way down. So I got Ohio State under 23.5 points.
All right, so Texas lost 12 draft picks, Ohio 14, but neither team had to go to the portal. Neither team went to the portal to add to their roster. So I guess Ohio State now has Matt Patricia as their
defensive coordinator.
Quarterback lens, Arch Manning versus, Julian Sayin. Home field in late August tends to be less impactful than in December. So you're going, Anthony?
I'm going Ohio State under 23.5. I kind of like the under in the game, But I mentioned before, I like to narrow down my focus when it comes to in week 1, week 2 with the team totals. If I could just get one team right, one side right, when it comes to the total, I feel good about it.
Okay, I'm taking Texas plus 2.5.
Oh, Riz.
Plus 2.5, and on, of course, our FanDuel odds. It's quarterback, and it's a muted early season home field advantage. I don't think home field advantage really means much for this game. I'm taking it based on QBs.
Michigan, much worse team a year ago, and Texas went into Ann Arbor early and handled business there. Obviously, Michigan then beat Ohio State later in the year. Not a great Michigan team, as we know, but Texas had an early road trip last year to Ann Arbor and did just fine. Different situation with the shoe and the defending champs, but nonetheless, Texas is battle-tested.
Okay. So Anthony's on Ohio State. I'm on Texas.
I'm just on the under 23.5.
Oh, on the under.
You can get your Texas. I got no issues with it. Just we're kind of on the same side here. Texas just play stout defense,
right,
and we'll be all right.
Tim, throw a game out there.
I'm going to start on Friday night. I'm going to give you one Friday. I'm going to give you one Saturday. I'm going to give you one Sunday as well. And I'm going to start on Friday night. And I am taking you to Waco, Texas, where War Eagle Auburn goes on the road. Hugh Freeze, the head coach. Anthony, he might be on the hot seat in the SEC. Nobody was fired last year in the SEC. Somebody's going to go this year. You know that. And they are giving 2.5 to the Baylor Bears. I've talked about it here on the Spread Zone, and I will continue to wager on it here on the Spread Zone. I love teams returning a number of starters at a high level, and that this year would include the Baylor Bears. Friday night in Waco, Baylor plus 2.5 at home against War Eagle. I'm taking the Baylor Bears and causing problems for Hugh Freeze early on in the campaign before he even hits the Southeastern Conference. Give me Baylor in the 2.5.
All right, so my first game was Texas-Ohio State. My second game is a Saturday 6:30 p.m. Central Time matchup, LSU at Clemson. Death Valley versus Death Valley. I know, Tim, you're on this game as well.
That's right.
All right, LSU is 0 for 3 in these week 1 showcases under Brian Kelly. Last year lost to USC, and the 2 years before that lost to Florida State. Clemson returning the bulk of their ACC championship roster that actually battled Texas.
Yes, they did. That was
wound up losing in the playoffs last year. Quarterbacks, 2 of the 3 Heisman favorites are in this game. What are your thoughts, Tim?
I think Clemson is the team to keep an eye on in the non-SEC, non-Big Ten world this year. Clemson, as you mentioned, Riz, returning a bunch of its production from last year. They were trending up and putting themselves in a position to beat Texas in Austin last season. I like Clemson at home. I really wish the number were 3 or 2.5 because I could see that hook coming into play. But I am going to take Clemson laying the 3.5 against Brian Kelly, who's tended to have a problem in openers.
Okay, so 3.5 would imply, so Clemson, given 3.5 at home, would imply that both teams are roughly equal.
That's correct.
Wouldn't you say? Clemson, I'm gonna take them. Clemson minus 3.5. Laying it in with the returning core, and LSU's week 1 track record under Brian Kelly.
It ain't pretty.
Clemson,
it's winless, Anthony.
It is winless.
Clemson given 3.5.
So I also like a play in this game, but I mentioned before I'm all team totals. So Ohio State under 23.5 against Texas. The rest of the plays here, I'm going over. LSU, with all that offensive firepower and questionable defensively. I know Clemson's got a stout defense, but this LSU team, I think, is going to come out with its hair on fire. It's 20. The LSU team total is 26.5. I'm taking LSU over 26.5. I think this could be a fun shootout. I
was kind of wondering that too.
Not the Clemson-Georgia game we saw a year ago where Clemson couldn't move the damn ball. I think that this one goes back and forth. And if I need a late touchdown from LSU, even if things get a little out of hand, I think I've got it. I think they score at least 4 touchdowns.
On FanDuel, the total for the game is 57.5.
I would lean over in that case, but again, my official play for this game would be LSU over 26.5.
All right. Give us another game, Anthony.
So the Alabama Crimson Tide, I feel like, are flying under the radar right now. And then, Kalen DeBoer, there's a lot of, you had mentioned Hugh Freeze, a bunch of Brian Kelly. Kalen DeBoer is another name you keep hearing about being on the hot seat. He was just in the national championship a couple of years ago. His offense, I think, is going to be absolutely dynamic this season. The running game is outstanding. The offensive line is one of the best in football. And I think Alabama hangs at least 32, because the number's 31.5, at least 32 on Florida State in the middle of the afternoon on Saturday. Give me Alabama over 31.5 points in Tallahassee. This is a big game for Bama, big game for Kalen DeBoer. I think his offense opens things up.
Tim?
Alabama's going to be dealing with Florida State, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Vanderbilt in its first 5 weeks. They are going to be put to the test, and we'll know a lot about Alabama before we even get to the second week of October. And I agree, this is critical for them. We'll see how Florida State responds after the debacle last year. Riz, I am going to finish off my 3 picks because I'm on Baylor on Friday night, Clemson on Saturday night, and I'm going to go to South Florida for Sunday evening. Give me the Fighting Irish -2.5 at Miami. I love Notre Dame this year, and I don't buy into Miami and some of the turnover that they have had on their team. Notre Dame returning a bunch of players, Miami losing a bunch. Perfect recipe, and I only have to give 2.5. I'll take the Fighting Irish on the road at Miami on Sunday night.
All right, my final game to chat about, neutral site game, Saturday, 10 p.m. Central Time, Virginia Tech against number 13, South Carolina.
You're not going to go against my guy Lenoris, are you? You're not going to do it. You wouldn't do it to me.
All right, Travel Edge, so, I do like this, seeing where teams are coming from, especially these neutral site games. Travel Edge, slightly to the Gamecocks, but it's still neutral. Lenoris Sellers has juiced the Gamecocks ratings, right? Kyron Jones, though, has the playmaking chops that had Virginia Tech, buzzing a year ago. On neutral, getting over a touchdown on week 1. I'm taking Virginia Tech plus 7.5.
Wow. I'm the only guy riding with the Gamecocks this year on this podcast.
On the podcast, because in my play with South Carolina, because we've been talking about, it's more of a pass for me. Just because it's that fun team that everybody's hopping on the bandwagon, and it's him. You get it. You know that at some point it becomes a little too heavy. They blow a tire, and that's it.
Yeah. Well,
and if you're not checking your brakes, and you're not checking some of the sounds that could be going on with that bandwagon, things go sideways in a hurry. 5 of Tech's 6 losses were in OT or by 4 or fewer. So Virginia Tech plus 7.5.
Virginia Tech plus 7.5 for Riz. All right, let me recap what we got here, boys. Anthony is on the under 23.5 of Ohio State's team total. Anthony is on the over of LSU's team total against Clemson in Clemson, South Carolina on Saturday night, and Anthony is on the over of Roll Tide in Tallahassee. That's at 31.5. Riz is on Clemson, as am I, -3.5 at home against LSU. Riz is also on Texas, getting 2.5 at Columbus on Saturday morning. And finally, Virginia Tech getting 7.5 against South Carolina. I am on Clemson as well, -3.5. Notre Dame, -2.5. And we'll start things off on Friday night at home for Baylor, getting 2.5 against Auburn. Those are the plays for the Spread Zone podcast.
All right, now come the exciting picks.
Yeah, locking it up.
Our FanDuel locks of the week. Week 1, college football. We'll chat it up next. FanDuel and Spread Zone. All right, fellas, time for our FanDuel locks of the week. Of course, we'll be tracking these all season long. Who wants to go first?
I do.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yes. Have you ever been to a game at the Grove?
I have not.
Riz, you ever been to a
No.
game? I got to get down there. And I know one thing about opening things up at the Grove on a late August evening or an early September evening, and that is Lane Kiffin is going to put on a little clinic, just like the friends who have gathered for cocktails in the South on those Saturday evenings. They have been pounding their weak opponents to open up the season, and I mean absolutely destroying them down in Oxford. That is what he does, and that is what he is going to do once again. Let me give you some recent history, Anthony. Ole Miss 73, Mercer 7 in 2023. What about last year? What did they do? 76-0 to Furman. He puts on a show, and this week it's poor Georgia State that comes a-calling. I think he's going to put up the points. On the off chance that Georgia State gets some points too, fine by me. I'm going over 60.5 for Ole Miss, Georgia State as my lock for week 1 of the college football season. Ole Miss, Georgia State, over 60.5. Ship the bankroll. Ship the bankroll.
Anthony.
I didn't think that when we were going to start this podcast that Tim and I would have circled the same Ole Miss Georgia State game.
Chances. What was that paying, Riz?
You asked me if I've ever been to the Grove. I have not, but you and I are going to the Grove together this weekend, my friends.
What are you on?
And you're both taking the over?
I am taking Ole Miss.
Team total?
Team total
Oh, my
over.
goodness.
And it's a big number, Riz. It's 47.5.
Oh, wow.
But as my man to my left just said,
Yep.
73 against Mercer, 70 some odd points last season against Furman, 59 against Central Arkansas. Even their backups play high tempo. I mean, this is what Lane Kiffin does. So give me Ole Miss over 47.5 for my lock.
Wow.
I love it. Thank
you, sir.
Love
They
it. We're
score
getting
45.
paid.
I'm ticked.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
My FanDuel lock of the week. TCU, University, North Carolina, under 56.5 points. This is Bill Belichick's
Tar Heels.
The coaching scheme over there has shifted to defense. All the week 1 cheat sheets, flag Belichick's UNC debut anticipates, a pro-style defense-first scheme for that first game on Monday night. I thought 56.5 was a lofty number for week 1.
I agree. That's my reaction to that too, man.
Expected to feature NFL caliber, defensive concepts and cautious early game sequencing. So my lock, TCU, UNC under 56.5 on Monday night.
I don't hate it.
I'm surprised that number is as high as it is.
It's going to be fascinating. Well, it could go one of two ways. I lean toward what Riz is talking about, and that Belichick, with all that emphasis all summer long on defense, the scoring will be held in check. The other thing is Belichick is known for everybody's got to know the playbook, and I mean the entire playbook. That is that was his secret in New England. You're talking about college kids now. They could make a lot of mistakes, but I'm sure he's thought about it. He's a genius, so he'll pare it down.
All right.
We got intrigue. Thursday night college football, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Oh, how do you do? It's
we
perfect.
covered it. We didn't even plan on that.
No.
Yeah.
We've covered it all, fellas.
Yeah.
I think that
we've covered all windows in the Saturday
as we should
slate as well.
Just settle in.
All right, so let's see how we do next week on the Spread Zone, where we'll discuss, how we did, and then we'll get into Week 1 NFL picks.
Yes,
it's a very exciting time of year, fellas.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it.
For Riz, Tim, Anthony, Spread Zone presented by FanDuel, and we'll see you next week.
We provide information about sports betting for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm gambling regulations in your state of residence. To participate in sports gaming, you must be 21 years of age or older and be physically present in a state where sports betting is legal. If you or someone you know has a sports betting or gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org for more information and further assistance.